When you buy a brand new smartphone, the camera is just absolutely flawless. Like, you take a picture, the edges are super crisp, the colors pop, the autofocus is instantaneous.
Oh, yeah, those first few weeks are great.
Right. But then, over years of drops and scratches and, just letting it sit at the bottom of a bag, the lens gets a little scuffed.
Mm-hmm.
The sensor gets dusty. The pictures start looking, I don't know, slightly cloudy or washed out. And what do? We just accept it. We say, well, it's an old phone. The hardware is tired.
Yeah, we totally write it off.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, we tend to treat our own eyes the exact same way. We assume there is this set biological lifespan on our vision, and after that, the scratches and the cloudiness are just, mandatory.
Which is a pretty bleak way to look at it, honestly.
It really is. So today, for everyone listening, we are completely dismantling everything we think we know about eye health, aging, and nutrition. We're doing a deep dive into a fascinating article titled, 5 Vision Care Myths Busted. Does Visium Plus really support eye health?
It's a really eye-opening text, no pun intended.
Good one. But our mission today is to separate biological fact from marketing fiction, using this source to figure out what is actually happening, like behind our corneas.
Yeah, and that smartphone analogy you used captures the fatalism perfectly. Most of us have this passivity where we treat vision decline as just a given.
Right.
But today's really about understanding the mechanical reasons why our eyes change over time, how those delicate biological sensors actually function, and just how much control you have over the entire process.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the biggest, most deeply ingrained assumption out there. Basically, myth number 1 in our source material.
The big one.
Right, the idea that vision loss after the age of 50 is completely inevitable. I mean, we treat hitting 50 like walking off a visual cliff.
Yeah, and this is the myth that does the most fundamental damage to public health, I think, because it breeds complete passivity. You just give up.
Yeah, totally.
Now, the text acknowledges reality, right? The eyes, just like every single other organ system in your body, they experience natural aging. There are absolute physical changes that occur. For example, as you age, the crystalline lens inside your eye naturally becomes, well, less flexible.
Which would totally explain why holding a restaurant menu at arm's length suddenly becomes a survival tactic at a certain age.
Exactly. It is a mechanical issue. The proteins inside that lens start to alter and clump together slightly over decades, making the lens stiffer.
Okay.
And when it loses that youthful elasticity, the tiny muscles around it struggle to bend it. That makes focusing on nearby objects much harder.
Ah, I see.
At the same time, the glands that produce your tears can become less efficient, leading to chronic dry eyes. You add in decades of exposure to ambient sunlight, environmental pollutants, and normal cellular exhaust.
There's a lot of wear and tear.
It is, and the structural integrity of your eye tissues is challenged. However, the crucial distinction the text makes here is that these physical changes do not happen at the same rate for everyone. Hitting a specific birthday does not trigger a self-destruct sequence in your optic nerve.
But wait, let me push back on this a little.
Sure.
If the physical parts, like the proteins in the lens, the tear ducts, if they're physically wearing down after 50 years of continuous use, how is that not exactly like a 50-year warranty expiring on a car engine?
I could get why you'd think that.
Right, because the timing belt snaps, the gears grind down.
Yeah.
How is vision decline not inevitable if the biological hardware is physically degrading?
Well, the flaw in that comparison is that the human body is not a closed, static mechanical system like a car engine.
Okay, fair.
You cannot repair a worn-out timing belt just by putting better fuel in the gas tank, right?
That's true, unfortunately.
But your body is a living, continuously regenerative system. The key biological concept here is the rate of deterioration versus the rate of cellular repair.
Oh, wow. Okay.
While time passing is inevitable, the speed at which your eyes age is highly variable. It is heavily influenced by how well you supply the body's natural maintenance crew. The source text highlights very specific, controllable lifestyle factors that dictate this rate.
So we actually hold the dial that controls the speed of this aging process.
You do. The text points to how well you manage your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your physical activity, your smoking habits, and whether you proactively use UV protection outdoors.
It is honestly wild to think that my cardiovascular blood pressure dictates how clearly I can read a book. Like, what is the actual mechanism there?
To understand the mechanism, you really have to look at the eye under a microscope. The back of the eye is packed with a microvascular network.
Meaning tiny blood vessels.
Yes, tiny, incredibly delicate blood vessels that deliver oxygen and nutrients to your retina. If your blood pressure is chronically high, the sheer physical force of the blood pumping through those fragile capillaries literally damages their inner walls. Yeah, they can narrow, leak, or even burst. Similarly, unmanaged blood sugar means excess glucose in the bloodstream, which structurally weakens those same capillary walls over time.
So it's breaking down the delivery system.
Exactly. The eyes are incredibly energy hungry, so when you damage their supply lines through poor cardiovascular health, the eye tissue literally starves. The takeaway for you listening is that daily habits, like a brisk walk or balancing your meals, aren't just general feel-good advice. They are actively preserving the structural integrity of the capillaries, keeping your retina alive.
Okay, so if the rate of aging depends heavily on cellular maintenance and keeping those supply lines healthy, how do we actually fuel that maintenance?
That's the big question.
Because the moment we say the word nutrition and eyes in the same sentence, everyone listening immediately pictures one very specific crunchy orange vegetable.
Carrots.
Yes, I have been told my entire life that eating carrots is the ultimate undisputed eye hack. Are you telling me Bugs Bunny misled an entire generation?
Well, a carrot legend is an incomplete truth. Carrots have earned their reputation because they are dense with beta-carotene, which is a compound your body converts into vitamin A. And vitamin A is fundamentally essential for your retina.
Right.
It specifically maintains the light-sensitive receptors that allow you to see normally in dim lighting.
So it is genuinely supporting our night vision.
It is. But myth number 2 in our text is the dangerous assumption that carrots are all you need. The human eye requires vastly more than just one single vitamin to operate. Relying purely on carrots is like trying to build an entire house using only a hammer. It's a highly complex organ relying on a massive interconnected network of biochemicals.
Yeah, looking at the source, it lists an intimidating nutritional roster here.
It's a lot.
We are talking about vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, copper, selenium, plus a whole variety of antioxidants, plant compounds, and natural pigments. That is a massive grocery list compared to just, tossing a carrot in your lunchbox.
Yeah.
Why does an eyeball need all of that?
Because you wouldn't expect your brain or your heart to thrive if you only ever fed it one specific nutrient and ignored everything else. The eye is no different.
That makes a lot of sense.
It requires a massive spectrum of chemical support to maintain different structures. Vitamin C is needed to make collagen for the cornea. Zinc helps transport vitamin A from the liver to the retina.
Oh, wow.
This is the underlying biology behind why nutrition experts constantly push for a colorful diet. Fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, nuts, seeds. You are trying to provide the full chemical palette the body needs to synthesize repairs.
Providing that full chemical palette makes a lot more sense when you stop thinking of the eye as just a detached camera lens.
Yes.
And that actually leads to the third myth in the text, which really reframes everything. We tend to treat the eye like it's this isolated little marble sitting in our skull, just doing all the work on its own.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, vision is actually one of the most incredibly complex neurological systems in the human body.
It's not just the eyeball.
Right. It is an entire visual pathway. The text breaks this down into 5 distinct steps that have to happen flawlessly every single millisecond you have your eyes open.
Let's walk through the mechanics of those 5 steps, because it really changed how I think about the simple act of, looking at a coffee mug.
Okay, so step 1 begins at the cornea. This is the clear, protective outer layer at the very front of the eye. Its primary job is to act like a windshield, but also to perform the initial bending of incoming light.
Got it.
Step 2 is the lens. As we discussed with the AGIP process, the lens sits right behind the cornea and fine-tunes that bent light, physically changing shape to adjust the focus depending on how far away the coffee mug is.
So the cornea gathers the light and the lens sharpens it.
Exactly. Step 3 is the retina, and this is where the biological magic happens.
Ooh, magic.
The retina lines the back of the eye. It receives that sharply focused light and has to translate it into a language the body understands. It converts light energy into electrical signals through a chemical process called phototransduction.
It is essentially a biological solar panel turning photons into electricity.
That is a brilliant way to picture it. Then, step 4 involves the optic nerve. Think of the optic nerve as a high-speed fiber optic cable made up of over 1 million individual nerve fibers.
1 million?
Over 1 million. It bundles all those electrical signals from the retina and carries them away from the eye deep into the head. And finally, step 5, the brain.
The boss.
Specifically the visual cortex at the back of your brain. The brain receives these raw electrical impulses and interprets them, flipping the image right side up, filling in blind spots, and creating the actual conscious image you perceive.
So if I'm understanding this sequence, if the brain isn't getting the nutrients it needs to process signals quickly, or if that fiber optic cable, the optic nerve, is compromised, it really doesn't matter how perfect your cornea and lens are. You will not have healthy vision.
Precisely. Healthy sight requires every single microscopic part of that 5-step pathway to operate in perfect harmony. And that means your daily nutrition has to support your blood circulation, maintain healthy nerve conductivity, and feed the neurological processing centers of your brain, not just the physical eyeball. Comprehensive nutritional support has to target the entire pathway.
Okay, eating a colorful diet sounds great for feeding the optic nerve and the brain, but what happens if the internal system is fueled up, but the external environment is just hammering the system every day?
That's the other half of the equation.
Right, because myth number 4 in our text addresses a trap I think almost all of us fall into. The assumption that if our vision seems fine today, like if we were passing the eye exam to renew our driver's license, our eyes don't need any proactive help.
It is a fundamentally reactive approach to health. We understand the logic of preventive maintenance in other areas of our lives.
Sure.
We lift weights and eat calcium to maintain healthy bone density long before osteoporosis develops. We do cardiovascular training to support heart health decades before there is ever a cardiac event.
Right, nobody waits for a heart attack to start jogging.
Exactly. The visual system demands that exact same proactive, consistent care because the wear and tear is constant.
We are basically waiting until the roof literally caves in before checking our house for termites. We're ignoring the daily structural stress until there is a catastrophic failure.
It's a great analogy.
Because the damage is happening right now, even if our vision is perfectly crisp. The text details the specific environmental challenges our eyes endure every single day. We're talking about blue light from digital devices, which is practically a constant waking hour barrage for most of us.
Oh, absolutely.
Sunlight, ambient air pollution, and what the text calls natural metabolic activity, and free radicals. Let's dive into those last two because they sound a bit abstract. What exactly is a free radical, and how is natural metabolic activity damaging my vision?
So, natural metabolic activity simply refers to the basic biological processes required for your eye to function.
Just normal running costs.
Right. That biological solar panel we talked about, the retina turning light into electricity, requires an immense amount of cellular energy. And just like a power plant, producing energy creates chemical exhaust.
Ah, so these free radicals, are they the exhaust? Are they just bouncing around inside the eye causing structural damage?
Think of a free radical like a microscopic pinball that has been shot out of a cannon inside your cells.
Oh, wow.
Scientifically, a free radical is an unstable molecule that is missing an electron. Because it is unstable, it desperately wants to find a replacement electron, so it violently crashes into healthy cells in your retina, stealing an electron from their structures.
Yikes.
When it steals that electron, it damages the healthy cell, which then becomes unstable itself. It creates a cascading chain reaction of cellular damage.
So it's like a microscopic chain reaction of vandalism.
That vandalism is the exact definition of oxidative stress. It happens naturally just from existing, breathing, and using your eyes.
Just from breathing.
Yep. But when you add in hours of high-energy blue light from screens, UV radiation from the sun, and environmental pollution, you're introducing millions of additional pinballs into the system. The oxidative stress multiplies exponentially.
Okay, if I have millions of these unstable pinballs bouncing around my retina every time I stare at a spreadsheet, how does the body fight back? Like, how do we stop the chain reaction?
With antioxidants. That is their specific, specialized job in human biology.
Okay.
An antioxidant is a molecule that can step in front of that pinball and voluntarily donate one of its own electrons to the free radical. By giving up an electron, the antioxidant neutralizes the free radical, calming it down without becoming unstable itself.
It just catches it.
It stops the oxidative stress in its tracks, but if you aren't consuming a highly nutrient-dense diet, your body simply does not have the inventory of antioxidants required to neutralize the massive amount of free radicals generated by modern life. Eating well today provides the biochemical tools to protect your eye tissues over the long term.
Which proves that preventive wellness has to begin years before your vision actually starts blurring.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've established that our visual pathway is under a constant invisible attack from oxidative stress, and that we need a massive, diverse inventory of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to act as molecular shields.
Correct.
This naturally forces us to look at supplements because, let's be real, Acquiring that perfect inventory purely from modern grocery store meals is incredibly difficult. But myth number 5 in the text is the pervasive belief that all vision supplements are just marketing hype.
And honestly, the skepticism is completely justified. The supplement market is highly unregulated and flooded with subpar
A
products.
lot of snake oil out there,
Tons of it. Some companies absolutely rely on trendy, recognizable ingredients, but use a practice called fairy dusting.
where they put a microscopic, biologically useless amount of a nutrient in the pill
Mm.
just so they could legally print the word on the label.
Exactly that. It offers zero meaningful benefit to your cells. However, the text makes a very clear, scientifically grounded distinction.
Which is?
Dismissing the entire concept of supplementation ignores the valid science of well-designed, clinical nutritional formulas. A quality formula is not a random collection of vitamins. It is engineered around specific ingredients heavily studied for supporting normal eye function and providing those electron-donating antioxidants to combat oxidative stress.
So it shouldn't be a bottle promising you laser vision or, like, a cure for blindness.
No, not at all. A thoughtfully developed supplement does not make impossible, miraculous promises. Its singular purpose is to efficiently deliver the critical, complex micronutrients that the visual system desperately needs, but are genuinely difficult to obtain consistently through a standard daily diet.
Here's where it gets really interesting in the source material.
Oh, no, you're going to say.
When discussing how to build these complex formulas, the text highlights the use of plant extracts and, specifically, functional mushrooms. Now, when I hear mushrooms, my brain immediately goes to the sliced portobellos I put on a pizza. What exactly is a functional mushroom, and what is it doing for my optic nerve?
Right, so there is a vast biological difference between standard culinary mushrooms, which are great for macronutrients and flavor, and medicinal or functional mushrooms.
Okay.
Functional mushrooms, like reishi or lion's mane, contain complex networks of phytonutrients and active compounds that simply don't exist in standard grocery store varieties.
What kind of compounds are we talking about, and how do they interact with human biology?
Well, scientists are deeply interested in compounds like beta-glucans found in these mushrooms. At a cellular level, functional mushrooms act as biological modulators.
Meaning they regulate things.
Yes, they help regulate healthy immune function. They promote a normal inflammatory response by basically turning down cellular alarm bells. And they are incredibly dense with unique antioxidants that offer heady protection against oxidative stress.
So they are bringing a massive amount of those flippers to catch the free radical pinballs.
They are. And the text notes that when you combine these functional mushrooms with specific plant-based extracts, you get a synergistic effect.
Like a multiplier.
Plants naturally manufacture thousands of protective compounds, polyphenols, flavonoids, and carotenoids, to protect themselves from UV radiation and environmental stress. When we consume them, those compounds act like a molecular shield for our own cells.
That's fascinating.
Many of these botanical ingredients have long histories in traditional practices and are now the subject of rigorous study for their ability to support cellular health at a microscopic level.
This brings us to the specific case study the text provides, a formula called Visium Plus. And I want to be entirely clear for you listening. We're looking at this objectively based on the source text to understand the architecture of how comprehensive formulas are actually built.
Visium Plus is presented in the text as an archetype of a multi-ingredient systemic approach.
Not just one magic vitamin.
Exactly. Instead of just isolating a massive dose of vitamin A and calling it an eye vitamin, the architecture of the formula combines essential vitamins, specific minerals like zinc, powerful antioxidants, diverse plant extracts, and those functional mushrooms.
So it's attempting to provide the chemical building blocks for the entire 5-step visual pathway, from the cornea all the way back to the visual cortex.
It is acknowledging that healthy vision depends on multiple interconnected biological systems. The goal of a formula like this isn't a miracle cure. It is providing targeted daily nutritional support that bridges the gap between what our modern diets provide and what our eyes actually require.
Makes sense.
For someone trying to simplify their wellness routine, getting all those different categories of nutrients, the vitamins, the botanicals, the mushrooms in a single daily format is much more sustainable than trying to individually source and track 20 different plant and mineral intakes every single day.
Sustainability is definitely the key to forming any habit. But, and this is massive reality check we really need to emphasize, the text explicitly states that even the most meticulously engineered high-quality supplement on the planet is not a free pass to treat your body poorly. You cannot out-supplement a terrible lifestyle.
Never.
It works best when it is augmenting healthy daily habits.
A supplement is exactly that. It supplements an existing foundation. If your physiological foundation is crumbling due to poor choices, the supplement is fighting a losing battle. The source material actually provides a highly effective 5-point checklist for building that foundation.
Let's run through that checklist for the listeners so they can audit their own daily routine against what the science demands. What is step one?
First, you must eat a diet rich in colorful fruits, vegetables, and leafy greens. This provides your baseline of natural vitamins and the macular pigments that physically protect the retina.
Okay, eat your greens. Step two.
Second, you need to wear sunglasses with legitimate UV protection whenever you are outdoors. This physically blocks the ultraviolet radiation that triggers massive amounts of oxidative stress.
Acting as a literal shield against the free radical cannons.
Exactly.
What about the internal supply lines?
That leads to point 3. Stay physically active, maintain hydration, and manage chronic conditions like high blood pressure or blood sugar. This is entirely about preserving the microvascular network. You have to keep the tiny blood vessels feeding the eyes flexible, clear, and undamaged.
Essential. And point 4.
Fourth, limit or completely avoid smoking. Cigarette smoke is one of the most concentrated sources of free radicals and vascular damage you can subject your body to.
Yeah, just adding millions more pinballs. And point 5 addresses the modern digital grind, right?
Yes. Schedule comprehensive dilated eye examinations to catch issues before they affect your vision. And crucially, practice the 20-20-20 rule for digital screens.
How does that work again?
Every 20 minutes, force yourself to look at an object at least 20 feet away for a full 20 seconds.
That forces the tiny ciliary muscles controlling the lens to flex and relax, breaking that constant static tension of staring at a laptop like 18 inches from your face.
It resets the mechanical focus. These 5 habits are non-negotiable baselines if you are serious about long-term visual wellness.
So what does this all mean? We have covered immense ground today, from the stiffening proteins of an aging lens to the specific phytonutrients required to neutralize microscopic cellular vandalism.
If we synthesize the core messages from the source material, the takeaways are incredibly empowering.
They really are.
First, declining eyesight is not a predetermined cliff you inevitably fall off after 50. Through lifestyle and nutritional choices, you have significant control over the rate at which your ocular hardware ages.
Love that.
Second, we must stop thinking of vision as just an isolated eyeball. It is a highly complex 5-step neurological highway extending from the cornea deep into the brain, and it demands diverse systemic nutritional support to function.
Right. Eating carrots is great for dim lighting, but it won't save the optic nerve.
Precisely. And third, while skepticism of wild marketing claims in the supplement industry is both healthy and necessary, thoughtful, clinically guided nutritional support is a valid and powerful tool.
When done right.
Right. Complex formulas like Visium Plus, which leverage vitamins, minerals, and functional botanicals, offer a legitimate way to proactively defend against daily invisible damage, provided they're utilized alongside smart, everyday lifestyle habits.
It's all part of a bigger system.
It is ultimately about giving your body the specialized biochemical tools it needs to execute the maintenance work it was fundamentally designed to do.
You know, with all this invisible damage we take daily, just from existing in a world of smartphones and laptops, I have to wonder about the future.
How so?
Well, we learned just how delicate that 5-step visual pathway really is and how much oxidative stress a normal screen causes. But we are rapidly moving into the era of virtual and augmented reality.
We are. The technological landscape is shifting dramatically.
Right. We are about to start strapping high-definition screens, literally centimeters away from our corneas, flooding our retinas with intense focused light for hours on end. Considering how much systemic nutritional support we need just to survive the current smartphone era, how on earth are our ancient biological lenses going to cope with the VR future? Are we chemically prepared for what we are about to demand of our eyes?
That is the ultimate question to leave you with today. The biological hardware inside your skull hasn't significantly evolved in tens of thousands of years, yet the digital environment we are forcing those ancient lenses to operate within is changing exponentially every single day.
A huge mismatch.
It is. And if we don't start proactively treating our visual pathway with the metabolic respect it deserves, the friction between our biology and our technology is going to cause profound issues.
Something to really think about the next time you put on a headset or stare down at your phone. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Don't let the warranty expire on your biological camera. Take care of the lens, feed the system, and keep exploring. We'll catch you next time.